is your podcast, One Life, One Story, where a special you shares your special story. Today we have Mimansha as the guest of the show. Mimansha is a young, vibrant, and a highly talented girl. She has done her graduation from the St. Xavier's College, Mumbai, right now pursuing her master's in biochemistry and biotechnology from Leuven, Belgium. Welcome to the show, Mimansha.
Thank you for having me, Dee.
Yeah,
I can,
so great.
yeah, yeah.
So tell us about your story of a small town girl from Jharkhand living her dreams in a place far away and that is in Europe. So tell us about you. Tell us this story.
Yeah, I left Ranchi, Jharkhand, from where I'm originally, the place where I belong. But I left that place far behind in the past, and I think this change happened when I shifted to Mumbai for my undergraduation. And I have been living away from my home since then. And to be very honest, I've always been a very spoiled kid. I have always been pampered a lot by my parents, so I was nowhere near to what we call as being independent. I had no idea how to do my laundry, how to cook food, or how to take care of myself for that matter, because I always had my mother to do that for me or my father to do that for me. So it was very scary at first when I shifted to Mumbai, and I would depend on people around me, like my friends, my PG mates, for anything that would go wrong in my life. And it was really scary. And I know at times my mother would also freak out that this is not how I imagined that I would raise you, but this is what I have done to you. You have been spoiled by all the love and pampering that we have given you. But then also she made it very clear that this is your life. You will have to fight your own battles, and you will have to do it by yourself. We will be there for you but eventually I know that I will do it, and I think I am managing pretty well this far. So yeah, it's always good to
And so
realize that you have become an independent woman.
yeah. So studying abroad, doing higher studies in abroad was in your plan already before
No,
coming
not
to Mumbai.
No, not always. It was actually never there in my mind. I remember I went back home and I was struggling to figure out what would I do with my life after this, and what should I do. There were many people who came up with different suggestions and advices that you can do this, you can do that. But I think eventually I listened to one of my professors, and he's the reason why I had this idea that I should go and study abroad. So all thanks goes to him. And also I remember that I went to my mother and I was not sure if she would approve of this, she would let me go this far. And then she was very supportive, and she said that you can apply to any university that you want, and I will be there, I will have your back, and I am there to support you. And the same kind of confidence and motivation I received from my brother as well, which was good, obviously. So it motivated me a lot. It boosted my confidence, and that is why I applied. It was very difficult because I would just sit in front of my computer scrolling through all the universities and their websites, and then I had to make a list of the college that I would prefer to get into. I got rejected from many universities as well. I got accepted to many universities as well, but the university where I am right now, KU Leuven, is what I always wanted to be at, and this is the place where I wanted to pursue my higher studies from. So I'm happy I got lucky there because they accepted my application. I think the real struggle began with the COVID, but I remember my mother and my brother were just there for me, and they kept saying that, you will go there, don't worry. And after a point of time, I think we just started avoiding all the calls from
Right.
people who would say demotivating things like, she might not be able to go to Europe this year. But overall, my mother was there. She was always there for me. I had a bunch of friends who were always there for me. My brother was always there for me. So yeah, I think even with all the technicalities where you have to figure out the documents and you have to travel from one place to another during the lockdown for your visa application. It was
Right.
hectic, it was very stressful, but then I
Hmm.
had people around me who made this journey very pleasant, so I cannot really complain.
Right. So you're a lucky girl. You
Yeah,
have
I got, yeah,
a robust support system behind you,
always,
and there is no stopping, with such
always.
support system. So Mimansha, this would be, something for the aspirants who are looking to study abroad. What would be some three takeaways or three points you would like to share for these young budding students who want to study abroad?
Okay, so marks matter, of course, they matter, but marks are not everything. When you're applying abroad, there are other things, other aspect of your application that matters. So you can focus on your marks, and you can always try to get good grades. That is there. But other than that, there are many universities out there which will look for an enthusiastic student. And your motivation letter matters a lot. It
Okay.
matters a lot, really. So like you have to pour your heart when your heart out in the paper or on your computer when you're writing a motivational letter. Also having good contact with your professors matter a lot. So if you have a professor that you're very close with, ask them to write a letter of recommendation for you, because that professor might know you very personally, so they might be able to write a very good letter of recommendation for you. That matters a lot because university takes into account a good letter of recommendation. So your motivation letter, your letter of recommendation, your grades. Other than that, well, you have to actually start looking for the university of your choice, your interest. So you'll have to figure out the subject that you want to pursue for your higher studies, or the university, the country where you want to study, because every country is different and every continent is different. And also there are certain things that you have to take into account. For example, if you're applying to the US or I think Canada as well, you have to sit for this exam, GRE exam that you have to clear. But Europe doesn't ask for that exam. Most of the universities in Europe will not
Right.
take GRE
Yeah.
into account. Yeah. So it is kind of easier to apply in Europe, because they don't have to, then you don't have to sit for this exam. And I didn't have time to sit for this exam. So I always wanted to come to Europe because I'm studying a course in biology, and Europe is the heart of biology. So
Right.
I wanted to be here. But I know that most of the technical courses like engineering and um, other courses as well have a better future or a brighter future in the US. So yeah, so GRE is an important thing. Other than that, you have to learn to be patient. You have to learn to be patient while you're
Patience is the
applying.
key. Yeah.
Patience, it takes time. I think it took me almost an year from the day I actually planned that I would go abroad to the day I actually received my visa. And
Mhm.
yeah, so, and there is a lot of things that goes after you have received your application letter. I think the real challenge starts after that, because then
Right.
you have to figure out all the documents, your visa, and your visa has to be precise. It has, your visa application should have all the documents that is asked of you. If they're asked, if you are at the visa center and if you don't have that one document, your chance is gone. Then you'll have to reapply, and it's a very hectic process. I had a a very good person in my life. He was there to guide me through everything. He's an alumni of my university where I am right now. So he was there to constantly help all of us, all of the prospective students who apply. And again, the second most challenging thing is when you are actually here. So
Hmm.
after everything is done,
I
after,
will see that part of
yeah,
the story. And
yeah.
when you're
So
actually there,
yeah,
tell
so
us about
after your,
that.
yeah, after a mixture of emotion that you feel, a mixed kind of feeling that goes
Feeling.
inside of you. Yeah. And then after that, when I finally came here, that was, I think, after 2 weeks from the day I received my visa. So after 2 weeks I was here, and that is something that is so overwhelming that you will not be able to take it all in at once, because there's a culture difference, there's a culture like everything is different. So it's
Right.
very difficult for you to manage and sustain. I remember the things, like I miss so many things about India right now. I miss the small shops we would have at every street, and
Correct, correct.
yeah, you don't have it here. So you have to, even if
Right,
you want a small thing, even if you want a chocolate, you have to go to the supermarket for that.
right.
So there are so many things that I miss about India right now. But yeah, the list is really big. So it's very difficult to settle in here. I think anywhere apart from your own country or your own city or state.
What is your plan? Like, after your studies in Belgium, what is your plan? Are you planning to settle down there, or are you going to come back?
I definitely don't want to come back because I mean I want to come back at some point, but I don't want to get settled in India right now, because once I have left that country, I want to explore more. That is there in me. Also, I'm not really thinking about settling in Belgium as well, because it's a very boring country, at least right now. Maybe because of the lockdown, but yeah, it's a small country, and I am planning to get my PhD as well. So if I'm planning into getting a PhD, then I might stay here for another 4 years. But I'll be also, I'll be applying to other countries as well for my PhD, like UK or even the US and Canada, and a few other countries in Europe itself. So I cannot be sure right now where I will end up after 1 year. It will totally depend on the university that would accept my PhD proposal. So that is there. And yeah, so once I decide a country where I'm doing my PhD from, I think that will be the country where I will settle. I will get settled in the future. That is one connection that I really want to come back to India for my mother, and also for my boyfriend because he's also there.
That's
And I miss,
sweet.
yeah, and I
So
miss him
sweet.
a lot. I miss him a
Now,
lot,
long
but
distance relationship, Mimansha.
a long distance relationship is so
Don't
pathetic. It's
cry,
so
don't cry,
it's
Mimansha.
so like every day there comes this thought in both of our minds that, you know what, let's just end this, let's just forget this, it will not work out. But then again, by the end of the day, we're like, no, but we cannot live without each other, we love each other, so we have to do this, we can do this. So we keep motivating each other, but it gets very stressful, it gets annoying at point, and we fight a lot over the phone calls. But we are trying to make the most of it. And also he is planning to shift to somewhere out of India, like maybe US or Europe itself. So that can also work out for the two of us. But he's there, and my mother is there, and I'm pretty sure about my brother that he will leave the country as well, because the
Okay.
field that he's doing, the thing that he's doing has a better future in the US. So he might plan on doing that as well. So I don't really have a lot to go back to India for at this moment, because everyone I know will leave the country eventually or at
Okay.
some point in the
Mhm.
future. So yeah, I think I'll be happy here.
Cool, cool, Mimansha. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking out time and for being here.
Welcome.
And wish you all the best. Wish you all the best
Thank
for
you.
your, for your studies, for your future endeavors. All the best, Mimansha. Take care.
Thank you so much. Thank you.